I need to do the best until I know better, then do better. And I know I keep saying that over the course of this particular session because I think that's the mindset around continuously looking to evolve and improve and get better.
Welcome to the Legacy Collective podcast. My name's Brendan and I'm from School Fun Run. Today I'm talking to Mark Hitchen from Mount Warren Park State School. Mark is the principal of that school and we touch on good culture, leadership, parenting, the value of a P&C and the influence of AI on education. I hope you enjoyed the chat. So Mark, thanks very much for joining us today. I'm looking forward to this chat. Bit of a disclaimer, the general manager at School Fun Run has kids at your school.
Yes.
So really exciting to get you in here and have a chat about school life and be an educator and what School Fun Run brings to your community there.
For sure.
I think sometimes when we talk about schools, we think about them as a large organisation, many kids. At School Fun Run, I always like seeing the individual story within the greater community. So I'm just wondering if you have any individual kids that spring to mind that you've helped over the course of your career, It'd be a really lovely place to start this chat because I think giving a human face to education is really important. Yeah,
for sure. I think, and that's a really interesting point to start off on. Look, for me, one that pops to mind, and this is of recent, and this isn't as a principal or as a leader, this is actually for me as a teacher in the classroom. So if I wind back to Broncos in the grand final against Penrith, and I was at a gathering, and it was a social gathering with lots of friends, etc. And one of the people that was there, his name was Daniel, and Daniel was actually one of my past students as a Year 6 teacher. But he, in fact, was in my very first class as a first-year teacher.
Right.
And it was quite a unique circumstance because for me, if I think of my age back there, I was 21 years old. And obviously, being new to the role and new to the position, there's things that you do really well at that time and you're full of energy. But also there's a lot of experiences that are yet to be had. So if I had have thought about the impact on a particular student that I have had of a significant nature, I actually wouldn't have thought it was somebody in my first year of teaching. But for young Daniel, it was quite interesting. So he was a really, really quiet young man, quite withdrawn, but I guess a bit of a quiet achiever in that sense as well. And I was quite taken back by the man that he had developed into becoming. And he has created a life of choice for himself. So he's become a tradie and very successful in his role that he's gone into doing. But it was the stories that he shared with me around the things that we used to do in the classroom that actually helped to support him and leverage for him to sort of launch from there.
I love it. Yeah.
And it was just some of our smaller stories, some of the smaller stories that he shared with me around our ways of working in the classroom each day, around the opportunity where children had the opportunity to share each day and share some of their personal things that they were going through or whatever it might be. But it was that platform of sharing. And it was just around hearing those stories around actually the influence that had on him in terms of his level of confidence of having his own voice. Exactly. But it was quite interesting of all of the things that I guess that we did in that classroom and I did to be able to support the learning of the kids in that room. Every day I would do daily fitness. So I'm an ex-phys ed teacher as well. But in terms of the classroom, I guess I leveraged off those skills. And so for the kids in the class, we had an agreement. If we were able to get through the work as well as we possibly could, and everyone put their best foot forward each day, that would in turn buy them points to be able to go out and do fitness and games in the afternoon. And he spoke about, for him, he shared with me the impact that had because it really motivated him to be able to get through his work, to be able to get to those games at the end of the day. And I remember at the particular time, teachers would, my year level and other teachers would have conversations with me around, Mark, how are you finding the time to get outside and go and play the games with the kids? And in turn, what it worked out, it was around productivity and efficiency. It was that, getting the best out of the kids in the particular time that you had them, and that reward. And those positive rewards and incentives can really drive the improvement.
And do teachers get a lot of autonomy, because that's what you've just talked about is a strategy?
For sure,
right?
yeah.
Is there a lot of autonomy for teachers in classrooms to come up with their own strategies like that, or is it more education on rails? I honestly don't know.
No, I'd probably suggest, so we have, in terms of curriculum, there's a very well-structured and well-sequenced and well-thought-through curriculum. The pedagogy is how we teach, and we contextualise the how we teach. So in each particular setting, the approach to pedagogy will be what is most relevant and suitable to that particular context and that location. So each school will, they will deliver what best meets the needs of that particular community. But you can, in terms of a teacher, put your own flavour on that.
Sure.
So there are those opportunities and those moments where you can absolutely have that choice around what's going to meet the best needs of the kids.
Your class, yeah. And you just did it very publicly because the kids were outside of the classroom. I guess there's other teachers doing that in the classroom,
for sure.
And nobody would know. So they wouldn't know to ask how are you making that happen, because they just wouldn't know that the kids are playing games in the classroom.
Absolutely. So, but there's so many examples that I can give you. But I guess, this particular child, I guess for him, it was I had underestimated the influence and the effect that we can have on others. And even just as an adult, they automatically see you as a role model. And they automatically put you in that space of being someone that they really will listen to, and they aspire to even becoming as well. So, it's
great because especially at the primary school level, kids are very, their mind is very open.
For sure.
But yet they don't have a ton of experience.
Absolutely.
So school is, after home life, between school, home and junior sport, that's pretty much 99% of a primary school kid's life.
For sure.
So the people that are associated to those things, like teachers, coaches, parents, grandparents, these family friends, really the impact that you have is so significant.
Truly.
And as adults, we may not realise that because we're making decisions based on a bigger life experience. It's easy to forget that kids are taking everything in like a sponge.
Absolutely.
One thing a principal said to me once, which I'm sure is a common saying, but it was something, and I'll paraphrase because I can't remember exactly, but kids can't be it if they can't see it. It was something along those lines.
Yeah.
So being a good role model is just it's just so important above everything else when you're dealing with primary school kids.
Absolutely.
Let's delve into school life.
Yep.
Let's get some, I know that your school has a high percentage of kids dealing with disabilities.
Yep.
That will add complexity to your role.
For sure.
So I'd like to get through some of that, because if there's principals listening or teachers that aspire to be in your position, there's probably some great advice that you could give them.
Absolutely.
And then beyond that, I'd love to talk to you more about your life as a parent and some of the other aspects. But in terms of school life, what percentage of kids at your school are living with a form of disability? Do you know?
Depends on the time, but at the moment around 38%.
How does that compare to other schools?
I would say it's all relevant to context, but I would say that is high. That's an indication of it. There's a high percentage.
And how do you make that work for these kids? I know that's a broad question. Answer it however you feel fit, but there's got to be a challenge there that you need to meet.
Absolutely. I think, firstly, it's culture, and it's mobilising a culture. And for me, I see my role, it's a privilege to be in a position to be able to support diversity and complexity. And I think it's around leveraging that collective efficacy around supporting and meeting the needs of that diversity. And again, it's doing the best that we can for each individual. Without people inside schools, they're just bricks. It's brick and mortar. It's the people that live and breathe inside the schools that are the most important. So it's around mobilising a culture that supports getting the best and mobilising the best for every single kid. And like I said before, everybody's best can look a little different. But kids are really, really capable. So it's having that common belief that everyone can be successful, and genuinely, every kid can be successful given the right conditions, the right environment, and the right approaches. You can support every kid to be successful, but I guess mobilizing that culture first, and a culture that focuses on learners and every learner being successful, I believe, is one of the most important components first. And that obviously then gives you, I guess, a base to be able to build upon and a foundation to build upon from that point.
And the stakeholders in your culture on a day-to-day directly would be teachers and students.
Yeah.
I mean, the parents are there, but
Yep.
not every day on campus.
For sure.
So do you have any particular strategies that you use? This is an assumption, but
Yeah.
I'm guessing that if you get this right with the teachers,
Yeah.
it kind of flows on to the kids.
Absolutely.
But do you do anything specifically to get good culture in the teaching staff and in the student body?
Yeah, great question. In a leadership position, we have to know what's happening in our classrooms. So one of the most important components is line of sight. We need to know what's happening in our classrooms to be able to then make really evidence-based decisions around what is our next learning movement. So line of sight. So for me, every day, I start the day by walking my campus. So I do walkthroughs, and I walk through in and out each of my classrooms. That visibility is really important because, like I said earlier, I'm an educator. That's my bread and butter. So teaching and learning is my bread and butter. And the walkthroughs that I do each day allows me to maintain a really close line of sight of what actually is happening in the classroom. So in terms of how curriculum's being enacted, the walls are an amazing space. You look around the walls in a classroom and the walls give you great insight to the curriculum that's being taught at that particular time. It gives you insight to the pedagogy, and the pedagogy is how we teach. And then obviously it gives you an idea of the culture in that room as well. But again, it's around relationships. It supports the relationships with your staff. It supports them to know that you're standing side by side with them and you're working with them in terms of the work that we're doing at the moment. And again, it makes it very normal again to the kids as well.
Yeah.
But I guess in terms of staff, I think it's been really deliberate around the culture too. So for me, I like to begin, if in a new setting, with looking at an infinite approach and developing that shared and common understanding that actually, like I said before, we're going to do the best until we know better, then we do better. It's not selling that if we do this, we're going to get to the end goal and we're going to cross the finish line, because there is no finish line. But in that space, it's a safe space. So for me, it's around every learner, and learners being teachers and students. But if I focus on teachers being confident to share their vulnerability of, hey, can you tell me more around how I can do this better? Could you share with me how I can improve in this particular space? Or just being open to new learnings. That culture around being infinite-minded and being okay with being a learner is so important. And that's a really nice space to start with staff. But then when you have that and you mobilise that culture and you can develop knowledge and understanding of the people that we're working with every day, we then have to celebrate and celebrate the successes and celebrate the wins and celebrate the improvements and acknowledge those, because if we don't, we're just hamsters on the wheel.
Yeah.
And I think in terms of with community and with children and with staff, it's so important, so important.
The school fun run.
Yeah.
To me, I mean, I'm really proud that
Yeah.
we've been doing that for 38 years in schools now.
Yeah.
And whenever I don't get to go to that many of them these days, I have more of an office job.
Yes.
But whenever I do get to go out, it's amazing to watch schools come together in a fully inclusive way that's non-competitive and just everyone's available. And I see the principals and the preps, throwing colour powder on each other. And I reflect back to my primary school that I've told you about. And I think what a different world it is and how proud I am to deliver that to school communities. But like you've recently held a school fun run.
Yeah.
And what does an event like that bring to your school culture?
It brings community together, and we look for opportunities and we mobilise opportunities very deliberately. I think that I guess hope's not a strategy. We don't hope to develop a community. We don't hope to develop a great school. We don't hope to develop learners. We look for the very deliberate opportunities to carve out those moments where we can bring community together. And we look for a couple of opportunities per term to be very deliberate around bringing our parents and our key stakeholders together for whatever reason it may be. Now, I think Fun Run brings so many different elements together. It obviously brings the incredible fundraising opportunity for people to work together for a common good, for a common goal. And raising money for a school is always a great opportunity to be able to deliver on even more outcomes. But for us, it brings our parents into the school in a really positive manner, because they get to be outside, they get to enjoy celebrating, watching their child have fun and enjoy that opportunity in that moment to be outside, outdoors, on the oval. It's not about competition, it's about participation. It's about everyone having a good time. But if I look beyond that, yes, it brings our parents in, but it brings our grandparents in. And some families will bring their friends in as well. But then it brings local business in. And local business for us, they offer every year and say, hey, Mark, is there something we can do to contribute towards Fun Run? Are there any prizes, additional prizes that you may need? And there's still yet to be a year where one of my local businesses hasn't engaged with it. It brings local services in. So in terms of Queensland Police, Rural Fire Brigade, it brings those services in to normalise and develop relationships. And again, we come back to that word of relationships. And it brings all those key stakeholders together, really for the betterment of the kids, in what is nothing more than just fun.
It is.
It's a good time.
I'm always amazed if you say to kids, go and run laps of the oval, and as an ex-PE teacher, you appreciate this.
Absolutely.
It's a punishment. But if you throw a bit of collar at them, they don't even know they're running.
Absolutely.
I've seen kids run for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's way too long, by the way, if you're listening to this. But I've seen it, and they don't even realise they're doing it. But if you asked them to just do laps, they wouldn't think much of that.
But if we tap into the inclusivity, it's an inclusive event.
Yes.
If we're talking disability, if we're talking any of our children with complex needs, everybody's able to access it. Everybody in whatever level, whether it be if you have a physical impairment, we can make modifications to be able to support those children to participate. For us, we have a very large deaf community. So our interpreters and our language models and our teachers of the deaf will be able to support our children. And we use sign to be able to engage them. And what's really warming is when you look up on our hill of our sea of parents that are up there, you'll see our parents signing the clapping symbol.
Really?
As our children come past. And it's around bringing people together.
Yeah. I love it. There's that old cliche that primary school is the heart of local community. But I know, like during COVID, we were putting on events at schools and parents were locked out. But they would come to the fence of the school because they couldn't, that's not illegal. And they could be 100 metres away. But, there'd be 50 parents lined up at the fence. Unless you've got binoculars, you're not even a good chance at spotting your kid. But they just wanted to be there. And you look at that, you go, wow, that's good school culture right there.
Absolutely.
So I love that stuff. And what does a PNC actually bring to a school? There's obviously the educators that are paid by the department to be there and educate the kids. And then there's this small group of what I call incredible human beings that volunteer their time to offer some sort of value to school life. But from a principal's point of view, what does a PNC actually bring into the school?
For me, the most important thing that they bring is community voice. They give you great insight to understanding the community. They give you great insight to understanding the needs of the community, of what's working really well for the community. For me, I know my P&C. I hold them very, very closely and dearly to me because they're my sounding board. There's not many moments go by over the course of a term where I don't reach out to my P&C executive and test different concepts or strategies or initiatives with them and ask for their insight around what do you think. But I think what's really important with that part of your P&C and leveraging and working with your P&C is listening. because what they have to have is really, really valuable. What they can add is really valuable, and the insight that they can give you is so powerful. And if you actively listen and genuinely listen to what they have to say, the difference it can make for the school community is so important. So for me, it's actually the voice. It's community voice. That's the most important part of our PNC. Of course, the fundraising and all of the other initiatives that go with that, they create those Kodak moments.
Yeah.
And the Kodak moments, they're so important. But
For the younger listeners, Kodak is Instagram.
Exactly. Thank you. Exactly. So yeah, for me, that's how we work with our PNC.
Yeah. Very cool. And you've got kids yourself?
Sure do.
How old are they?
So I've got a 15-year-old, 13-year-old, and a 12-year-old.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And they all have a shared interest in martial arts, I've been told, or is that some of them or all of them?
No, all of them.
All of them?
Yeah, all of them.
Wow.
Yeah.
And were you a martial artist yourself?
Yeah, I was. So I guess as a kid, that was absolutely an interest of mine and something that I pursued. And I guess it just organically sort of came into effect that my three girls became really interested as well.
And by the way, I had a chat to Dr. Justin Coulson in here a few months ago, and he's got 6 girls.
Yes, okay.
It's a great chat to listen to. Your kids are a bit older.
Yeah.
We mainly focused at primary school, but you've got 3 girls. He's got 6 girls, so I'm sure you two would have a wonderful conversation.
Absolutely.
So what is it about martial arts that your kids love? Like, why are they drawn to that?
Yeah, so I think it's probably evolved over time. So initially, it was just around being involved in something, being active, being healthy, but also being around other people. And being connected to other people, I think, is really important because we all want to belong to something. I think everyone wants to belong to their tribe and to their people and to a group of people that they feel accepted by, comfortable with, that they can share with. So I would say initially that was probably the lure for them. They belonged to something. They belonged to a community that was important to them. As time has gone on, I guess for them it's around now the competitive edge. That for them it's a competitive outlet, and it's something that they're doing at an elite level. Recently returned back from Dubai from the World Championships. And we're talking multiple overseas trips a year, and that's a very privileged position to be in. But yeah, I guess for them it's now that competitiveness and looking for an opportunity to test themselves with some of the best in the world. I guess as a dad, what do I get out of that?
Yeah,
and I was
going to ask, like, and specifically that kind of sport. Like a lot of kids play soccer,
sure.
A lot of kids do swimming, all these kinds of things. But martial arts it's growing in popularity, obviously, these days.
Yeah.
But I would still consider it to be more of a niche sport than a mainstream sport.
Absolutely.
So what do you love about it?
Look, for me, that's I probably can answer that in bifold. So I coach at an elite level myself, but I guess there's probably part and parcel with that. There's what do I love about it for my children and what do I love about it as a sport. So if I consider it for what do I love about it for my children, it's that they learn to be able to be resilient. And resilience is something that we throw around in society. It's a term that we throw around and say that our children need to become resilient. But it's around having the fortitude to actually take the steps to do what is needed in order to become resilient. And if I think of my 15-year-old, I'll give you a story. So 2 years ago, she went to Korea as a 13-year-old. And she went to Korea as a 13-year-old without mum and dad.
Wow.
She actually navigated the Korean airport with one other person, with actually a peer. And for us, there was a lot there for us as a family to be able to develop that sense of trust that my 13-year-old could actually navigate to and from Korea to engage in a training camp and competition, etc. But what a great opportunity to develop resilience, to learn that actually young people are incredible. They are so capable. They are incredibly capable. Given the chances and the opportunities, they will surprise you of actually what they can achieve.
So one of the questions we always ask on the Legacy Collective is, who do you credit for making your life possible? Someone must have believed in you as a small child, or could just be yesterday, but who do you think has had the greatest impact on your life?
For me, the family. If I think about my particular attributes that I have, that I hold very close to me. For me, it's around working super hard. It's around, I think, that consistent understanding that I need to do the best until I know better, then do better. And I know I keep saying that over the course of this particular session, because I think that's the mindset around continuously looking to evolve and improve and get better, and the want and the need and the will and the desire to get better. For me, that particular mindset was really given to me by both of my parents, and I'm very privileged to be able to be brought into the world by a mum and a dad who are able to give and instill those values in me around hard work and working hard and pursuing what I wanted to pursue. But I think the other part that's really important that they developed in me is the ability to make sure that I look after people, and I'm aware and socially aware of those around me, and the impact that I and my decisions can have on those people around me, and the accountability and responsibility that sits with me as an individual for everything that I choose to do. So yes, the attributes around working hard and looking for consistent improvement as an individual, absolutely with my parents, but I really feel very fortunate that they also instilled the human components in me that are really important around looking after others and being aware of others and socially aware. That, without any doubt, is them. But if I think about that, for me, in terms of my upbringing, I come from I guess we'll call him a 10-pound pom. Somebody who came to Australia with 2 suitcases and not a lot of money in his pocket, and developed a life for himself and his family. And for us, I think that we've developed into becoming a really successful family from 10-pound poms. So for me, I absolutely would go back there. But professionally, I had my very first principal. Her name was Chris, and she had the biggest and most profounding impact on my career because she taught me the importance of developing the whole child. She taught me the importance of being consistent, persistent, and if needs be, insistent. And just holding that line and holding the course and making sure you've got the fortitude to see things through. For me, without any doubt in my mind, professionally, she's had the most significant impact on my career. And I think as a leader, she certainly wouldn't be considered to be fashionable nowadays. She's retired. But I think the story that lies there, we have so many people in industry now who retire and move on. I think it's around, there are so many lessons that can be learned from people like Chris of how can we retain their knowledge in some type of way, how can we leverage all of their experience and all of those things that you can't learn in a book, you can't read in a textbook, you can't, or YouTube now, you can't read it on YouTube. It has to be a shared lesson. So for me, it'd be Chris without a doubt.
Okay, there's so much there. So firstly, I'm sure you're doing all 3 of those people very proud because you've taken your gifts in life to be born into a great, loving, supportive family that could give you the opportunity to be who you wanted to be, and you've chosen to take a path as an educator and a coach, which folds into the humility and the humanity side of being good to other people. And then you're obviously doing a great job at educating because you've been promoted to principal level and you've got some of the best martial artists in the state under your care. So I'm sure that all 3 of those people would say you're doing a great job. So just want to acknowledge that.
Thank you.
Thinking back to your time in primary school, did you have a favourite teacher?
Ooh, yeah, I did have a favourite teacher actually. Yeah,
And what made them special to you?
yeah, for me, it was I felt he had a sense of belief in me. Now I look back, he pushed me in a really positive way because he had aspirations for me, but I think it was that sense of belief. I felt that he had that investment and sense of belief in me that I could become whatever I wanted to become. But I think, for me, and I probably can't narrow it down to one. There's a few. But if I think of the commonalities that exist amongst those particular people, they're your champions. It's those people that you feel are on your side, those people that are working with you and for you, and they want to get the best out of you. Because I think as educators, we can deliver a curriculum and we can teach in a particular way with pedagogy, but truly those one percenters, those amazing teachers are the ones that get the best out of individuals, and evoking the best. That's an art form.
It is absolutely an art form. Like my favourite teacher at primary school was Miss Stewart, my grade 2 teacher, and what I reflect so fondly about with her, I wasn't academically a brilliant kid. Never was my whole school career. So I think there's a natural disposition where kids that are doing what you want them to do and doing well at it get rewarded, because why wouldn't you, right?
Yep.
I'm asking you to be good at mathematics. You're good at mathematics, so you get rewarded. And then you've got kids like me that are not good at mathematics, so I don't get rewarded. But what Miss Stewart did for me, and this is why I think so fondly of her, is when she would leave the classroom to do something, she would leave me in charge of the classroom.
Yeah.
And my point is that she would give me responsibility, right? Which I liked.
For sure.
Like today, I run a business.
Yeah.
There's a lot of responsibility. I don't have to be great at math. I have a bookkeeper and I have an accountant and I have a general manager that looks after that side of the business for me. But I have to be good at leadership because I have to be, that's my job, right? Is to be a visionary and set good culture. And she could see, I was 7 years old and she took the time to understand that whilst I'm academically not the brightest kid in the class, I'm trustworthy.
Yeah.
And you can leave me in charge of the class when you go. Sure. And a little thing, and consistently do it. It wasn't like she shared the role around. Like I was her guy when she left the class. Brendan was going to look after the classroom. And now I'm 47 years of age. I'm literally my 40-year anniversary of being outside that classroom. Yeah. And I still credit her. I couldn't even tell you the name of my grade 5 teacher.
For sure.
But I'll never forget Miss Stewart. Yeah. And it was because she looked at the classroom, and to your point, it is an art, because if you just give rewards to the kids that are doing what you want them to do, then the kids that aren't doing what you want them to do, what is their incentive to do better? And she gave me an incentive to do better, and I responded to that, and I've never forgotten it. So I think you're right. I think it is an art.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Is there anything that you would like to share that we haven't talked about?
Probably. In terms of leadership, if I go back to school land for me and staff and the importance of staff, I think schools are boasting with really, really talented people and amazing people. And given the right culture, I think schools can be places that absolutely flourish, because I don't think there's many educators that don't walk into a school not wanting to make a difference. Teachers go into rooms, they want to make a difference, and they want to do a good job, because everyone wants to do a good job. For me, it's around everybody ensuring that the motivation and the incentives and the end goal is all keyed around making sure that we're mobilising to get the best for the kids. For me, I'm very fortunate in the outcomes that we've achieved as a school. I think are a testament to the people that I am absolutely privileged to work with. And my people absolutely go above and beyond the call of duty, and they consistently have the kids at the middle and at the centre. But schools are not dependent upon one person. Schools are dependent upon the collective. They're dependent upon everybody doing their role. And even down to our groundsmen and our cleaners, they play really, really important roles, because if my grounds don't look good, if my hedges aren't straight, if my pathways aren't trimmed, then it doesn't feel good. It doesn't look like a place for learning. If my classrooms aren't clean, and my desks aren't clean, and my chairs aren't clean, and my carpets aren't clean, well, the kids can't engage in learning in those spaces. But I think as a leader, my role is to make sure each of those people feel valued in their role. And if they feel that sense of value, and if they feel that sense of collective efficacy, that they each play that critical role to be able to support the teaching and learning to occur over the course of the day, if they don't feel those things, then we don't get the outcomes we're looking for. But if they feel that sense of value, then I think you get that buy-in, and then you have and you develop what is a community. And a community is around a group of people working together for a common good, existing together. They belong to something together. So for me, that's probably something that I hold very close to me as being a leader.
What got you into education in the first place? Like when you were making a decision about careers, why were you drawn to this one?
I really wish that I had a very deep answer for you on this one, and I'm going to give you a very honest answer. I really, really enjoyed sport as a young man. Yep. I really enjoyed sport, and I guess there would be a lot of people that say they got into teaching because they wanted to make a difference, or they really connected and worked well with young people. For me, initially it started, I had a real passion for sport. I taught martial arts from a very young age. But that person that you asked me about before, if there was a particular teacher that had a significant impact on me, that was one of my phys ed teachers. And my love of sport, and looking at him as a role model at the time, of someone who was a phys ed teacher, I sort of connected the two together and thought, well, maybe I can leverage off my love and passion of sport with looking at this particular person who I'm holding in a high esteem in society. I think he's a really good human being. I think he's doing a really good job, and he does something meaningful. Maybe that's something that I can pursue. And that's how I landed in teaching. But I guess the longer that I have been in education, and well over 20 years now, the deeper my love for education has become, and the more passionate I have become.
And that was a point I was going to make, because what your story is a great example of how, if you follow your passion, like if there's something that you really love and you do it, you don't know where it's going to lead. Like it's led you to be a principal of a great primary school, a leader of community, all of those wonderful things. Like you're literally changing the lives of hundreds of kids every year, which is, I'll use your word, it's a privilege. But it didn't start there. Like it's there now, but it didn't start. It started because you love sport and you like this guy, and you thought, well, I could do what he does. Probably not much more thinking other than that sounds like a good way to spend my life.
Yeah.
And look where you are now. So the lesson is, like, do the thing that you love, because even if it doesn't seem like there's a lot of money in it or a lot of privilege in it today, you don't know where it's going to lead. And you'd be better off pursuing something with passion than doing something that you don't like early and getting stuck in a life like that. Because, this just is a really great example. So whilst you might not think it's, the most inspiring answer, I think it's a great answer, because what it shows to me is follow your heart and your passion will lead the way.
And I think that's something that can hold you for the test of time as well. Teaching it's a tough job. Teaching is a really tough job. It's an important job. Yes. I said the highs are really high and the lows can be really low. But that drive and that passion, I think, is what can continue that journey for you and to remain in the occupation and to remain current and fresh.
I think teachers today have it pretty tough. Like, I think society is very complicated. It's a complex thing now. When I was a kid, but in the 80s, life seemed a lot simpler than it does today. So my teachers, their role was well defined.
Yes.
Now teachers are quasi everything. Counsellors, parents, teachers, you name it. There's a role to play there. And I think it's going to get interesting. And the reason I say that is AI is coming. I don't know what it's going to do. I don't think, all of us are sort of anticipating that.
Yeah.
But I feel like education is going to change significantly in the coming years.
Yeah.
Is there any chatter around that?
I would probably say education is constantly evolving. Truly, one term in education, for my staff, I say one term in education is like a year in the real world. The pace that it moves at, and it moves at such a fast pace, the pace that it moves at is astounding. So it doesn't surprise me that things are evolving. I think what's important is that we continue to make it relevant. So AI, for example, absolutely, it's a part of our world now. It's a part of our ways of working. It's how we do things. It's how we do business. It's around how do we support our people to be able to work inside that world. So that I believe that there's always going to be a place for teachers. There's always going to be a place for a formal education. But as the AI and the technological world continues to develop, it's how can we pivot and make sure that we're aligning our ways of working to being current for what our world needs.
It's a great answer. Like, I can remember being at school and being upset that we had to learn something like algebra, right?
Yeah.
And saying, like, when am I ever going to use this, okay? And then doing long division math and saying, but as soon as I graduate, I'll get a calculator.
For sure.
So in the 1980s, a calculator was like, I would justify not doing my math homework because I'm going to have a calculator.
Yeah.
If I was a primary school kid now, disengaged with education, I don't have a calculator. I have artificial intelligence. Like,
Absolutely.
I'm literally not interested in anything because there's a mass, like, it's chalk and cheese.
Yeah.
Hanging your hat on a calculator will do my math versus AI will do everything for me.
Absolutely.
I think your point about staying relevant and giving kids the tools that they need to succeed in whatever the world looks like, I actually think teaching will not only be relevant, it'll be more relevant than ever, because somebody has to lead en masse the next generation into these challenges. And I think there are going to be challenges.
For sure.
I think there's going to be good things, and I think there's going to be challenges. Someone has to navigate through. And parents can do it on an individual level.
Yeah.
But if you think about it as a football team, there's an individual player, but they have to also have the skill set to play within the greater team. And I think school is a place where we learn how to be part of a bigger society. Home life is great, and you can never underestimate the power of parents when it comes to the development of their children.
Yeah.
That is the cornerstone of development. But school is the next place where you learn how to be part of society. And with society changing so rapidly, so quickly, and I feel like I know what you're saying because I go to educational conferences myself and I see the new tech and things come out, but this is different. Like, this is a different thing. Going from a chalkboard to a whiteboard to a digital projector is different to going from a calculator to AI.
Yes.
And I think there's going to be pressure put on the education department to get kids ready for this. And if the teacher has the right mindset, I don't think there's been a more like, people talk about the Industrial Revolution and how education changed to meet the needs of that. Well, I think we're on the doorstep of the next revolution, and educators are going to play a critical role in helping the next generation find their feet in that world. And if we do a bad job, I don't know what's going to happen. But if we do a good job, then, we stand a chance to have a bright future with a great new technology.
Absolutely.
But hats off to anyone that's choosing to be a teacher, because I think your role is going to be more important than you may even realise at this point.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, thank you.
Well, I think that's a great place to end the chat. It's inspiring to think the next generation of teachers will come through under leadership of people like yourself, and hopefully all that information we talked about from your original principal to you gets passed down to the next generation. And thanks so much for spending time with me today on the Legacy Collective podcast.
Thank you, and thanks for the opportunity to chat. I think the initiative of the Legacy podcast is such a powerful opportunity to be able to mobilise and share story, which is what we spoke about today. Yeah. So thanks for the opportunity to share story.
You're welcome. Thanks for listening to today's episode of the Legacy Collective podcast, copyright by School Fun Run. Today's episode was brought to you by Funzy. You can find out more at funzy.com.au. And if you'd like to access other podcasts, we produce one called Chase the Fun. It's narrated by Chase the Cheetah, and it's made specifically for kids in primary school to help them develop characters to become the best human beings they can be. See you in the next episode.